Go.
Okay, thank you. So, welcome everyone. My name is Angela Middleton, and I am the Regional Director at Houston for ACMP Texas chapter. Again, thank you all for coming this evening. Hope you received your uh, registration, like everything went smoothly. Send a reminder a little later, and that's just something I'm going to keep in mind to do because we just all get busy and sometimes people just forget. So no worries if you need to leave early, you come in late, it's okay. We're just glad to have you here. As you visit the ACMP Texas website, just some additional resources. Anyone who's hasn't taken the pro side, there is a membership ACMP membership savings that can be applied toward the cost of the class. And they are specific classes, excuse me. So you want to look for the one December 5th through 7th and December 19th through the 21st. I'm going to follow up today's presentation with an email with links to those particular dates. And the ProSci really is a good foundation for the execution of change management. So if you're interested, that'd be a great class to take. For 2023, there are some December events virtually. Invite you to go out to the global website under events, and all of the chapters have their events out there, and you're welcome to attend, like I said, anyone virtual or one that's close to you. Always looking for help with focus groups. We're looking at professional development. We're looking at giving back for 2024. Also looking for self-care. And we're looking at I'll be getting some demographics, just trying to understand how our membership is as far as experience, where you're practicing change management, and having people from various areas within change management will really help to bring programming and events that benefit as many of us as possible. We'll try to hit everybody, may not, but we want to get close. So you can go to the next slide. Thank you. And this is just a disclaimer. Adriana, our guest tonight, is speaking on her behalf, not necessarily representing ACMP Texas. We are recording tonight. The recording will be available on our YouTube page. Again, I'll send that link, and the slides will be forwarded within that email. And our speaker tonight, Adriana Rapolla, is an accomplished corporate transformation professional with a background in information technology, psychology, and executive education. In 2008, she founded the Taligens Group, where she leads the change management efforts for large ERP implementations. As the change management field grew, Adriana's experience as a pioneer in the area allowed her to help clients design and implement change practices, where she developed internal methodologies and frameworks to suit their individual industries and challenges, hired and trained their teams, and redesigned internal processes to fully integrate the new practice. Adriana is fully dedicated. I'm sorry, just a moment. Is fully dedicated to leading and implementing strategic organizational transformation programs. She's passionate about helping clients shape their cultures and mobilize their people to deliver business value, as well as developing a high trust environment and sustainable change practices to successfully lead the organization into the future. And without further ado, we welcome Adriana to tonight's presentation and really look forward to the information here. I think you'll enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Angela. I was telling Angela earlier and Aurora that I need to update my picture. A couple of years ago, I decided that I wasn't going to color my hair anymore. And so that picture is about 2 years old. So as you can see, I look a little different right now. So please forgive the old picture here. We'll get a new one this year at some point. So today we're going to talk about navigating stress. You know, one of the things that happened all the time, at least in the kind of project that I work, is that people get very stressed because they are I mainly work on a lot of ERP implementation projects, doing change management. And if you've ever participated in one of those, you know that they are large, there's a lot of people involved, there's a lot of moving pieces, and there's a high degree of complexity involved. And sometimes it causes a lot of stress. And that was kind of what were happening this year, the beginning of the year, at a project that I was working in. The need to do something about that came up. So that's how this presentation was born. It was really a workshop, a much larger workshop that I created for a client that I was working on. So I reduced this to an hour presentation for you guys today. And I decided that this was the best use of our time. We're going to talk about what is stress. There are two types of stress, what we call positive stress or eustress, and negative stress or distress. To add to that, there's a negative bias that we all human beings have that adds to it. And then we're going to talk a little bit, very briefly, about moods, the mood of overwhelm that overtake us many times and leads to stress. And then we're going to see some stress reduction approaches. We want to see how to reduce stress with a situational approach, an interpretative approach, or a physical approach. And you'll see that you'll be familiar with some of these, and some you will not. And so, I put it all together here so we could go through and kind of give it some context to some of the things that we probably already know and add some of the ones that we don't. So with that, let's see. What is eustress? Eustress is positive stress. It's the kind of stress that is beneficial for us. It has a good effect on our well-being because it helps us increase performance, it helps us increase focus, motivation, it's experienced as excitement, feels manageable, and it gives us confidence. So this is the kind of stress that we get when someone at work, for example, assigns us a new project, and it's a challenge for us because it's something that we never did, but we are excited about doing it. It's something that we wanted to do, right? So we get that stress like, oh my God, I'm going to have the opportunity to do this thing that I always wanted to do, kind of thing, right? Or it is the kind of stress that you get when you are at the yoga class and you have been taking the yoga class for 6 months and there's this one pose that you cannot do, right? And then one day, ta-da, the pose, it's there, you can do it. And so you get that excitement like, oh my God, I can do this, right? So this is what we call eustress. It is a very positive kind of stress. And then we have distress, which is the one that we know better, the kind that gives us anxiety because we feel pressure that doesn't let us focus, that makes us feel overwhelmed, makes us procrastinate because, we have so much going on that we don't know where to start. We have this restless energy. We know we have to do things and we're going from one place to the next, but we're not getting anything accomplished. So we get all these really negative or fear of negative outcomes. We're thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to get this done. Oh my God, we're never going to accomplish what I need to accomplish, right? So this is a kind of stress that impairs our performance, and it also makes us avoid things, right? We have so much to do. We're overwhelmed because we have so much to do. We start avoiding. No, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. So this is what we typically are very familiar with when we talk about stress. So I wanted to tell you a little bit more about both of these. Eustress. It comes from the Greek word eu, which means good. And of course, stress, which is the response of the body to any demand that we make of it. So again, we associate eustress with situations that we experience as a challenge, but an opportunity for learning, for growth, for improvement. So I gave you a couple of examples, but when you, like I said earlier, you have something to do, it's a challenge, but it's going to help you learn a new skill. So it tends to be short term compared to stress that we'll see that it tends to be a little longer. And it it can stimulate our motivation and our performance. It also is positive because it can push us to adapt and respond in ways that leads to growth and development. And I like to also, when I talk about change and how do we navigate change at work and how do we prepare for change, in all the change management conversations, we talk about readiness. I like to talk to people about understanding when this is happening, when we're working on a project and this positive jolt of energy or eustress comes to us, because it's one way to navigate change and to help us adapt, to help us adopt new ways of being. So when we make the connection between how we're feeling, if we're feeling eustress, and the change that we are being confronted with, we can help our body develop this adaptation to it. Now, on the distress side, we know that it's a time that is perceived more as our ability or something is beyond our ability to cope, right? So we can't control it. We develop these feelings of discomfort, anxiety, or worry. And there are two types of distress: acute and chronic. Acute is when we have an immediate response to a new threatening situation. So we have this fight or flight reaction that I'm sure you guys have heard before. So we have these physiological changes. We typically get our heart rate up, our blood pressure, sometimes we sweat. We get all these immediate acute reactions to that kind of stress. And then we have chronic stress that occurs when we're exposed repeatedly to a situation. So, the body develops this response and activates this prolonged reaction to it that we call distress. So this is the kind of distress that can be really harmful, the one that we typically know more about, right? Because it's both for us physically and mentally. It can affect our hearts, it can affect diabetes, depression, anxiety. It can bring up health problems. Now, I do want you guys to, and we're not going to do this because our time is very limited, but there is this TED Talk called How to Make Stress Your Friend, that is incredibly interesting and useful. It talks about how the distress that we feel can also be managed by reinterpreting what we feel. And it's not, it is not like something completely difficult to do. No, it's just like we tend to think of distress or stress as bad. And there's these studies that have been done that in reality, the stress isn't bad. What is bad for us that brings on all these conditions are the interpretation that we make, that the distress is bad for us. It's like, okay, if I believe that the stress is bad for me, then it's bad for me and bad things are going to happen. But if I believe that I'm stressed, but I'm going to manage it and it's okay, then even if I may have the same level of stress, it is not bad for me, okay? So it is an incredibly illuminating TED Talk. It's about 15 minutes long. So you guys are going to receive this presentation after the call. So I invite you to go watch it because it was very eye-opening for me. And it's also very funny, as you can imagine. Though TED Talks are also always a joy to watch because they are incredibly, the speakers are incredibly skilled at delivering the message and making us aware of it or laugh or, to retain what we're listening to. So questions so far? Good. So negative bias. I told you a little bit about this earlier. We have this tendency as human beings to always focus on negative things. We give more weight to negative things than to positive ones. And we can see this in different ways. We can see it as recall, where we tend to remember unpleasant memories more than easily positive ones. Think about anyone that comes and say, oh yes, because so and so has pneumonia. We don't say, oh yeah, I know a friend that had pneumonia, but it was nothing. She recovered really well. No, we tend to say, oh yeah, I know someone that had pneumonia and they died from it. We always have that kind of reaction to our recall when we try to recall something. Attention. We often pay more attention to negative news. Think about when you watch the news. Do you remember the news about good things happening in the world? No, you probably remember the news about the war. You remember the news about, crimes, accidents. Those are the kind of news we tend to remember the most. That's how our negative bias in our attention shows up. On decision making and risk aversion, when evaluating potential outcomes of any decision that we make, we usually focus on what can go wrong. What can go wrong if I decide to buy a house? Oh, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm going to, have a place that is mine. I'm going to be able to do this. No. We're going to say, oh my God, what if I can't pay the loan? Oh my God, what if I can't maintain the house? Oh my God, what if I? So we tend to give it more weight to the risks or negatives than to what we can gain or the positive things of our decision making process. And then the last one, interpersonal communication. We can be having conversations with someone, and it may be a 3-hour conversation that is super positive. But if that person said one thing that was negative in our interpretation, we are going to remember that, and we're going to discard the 2 hour and 59 minutes of positive things that we heard from that person, because we have a negative bias in how we remember our interpersonal communication. So all of this contributes to stress, because we focus on the negatives. Very simple. In any aspect, we focus on the negatives. So does that make sense? Can you guys see yourself in these situations?
Yeah. And I see my daughter all over this. When all she remembers are the negative things in the history of our relationship. She's always bringing back like
no kidding.
Thing. Yeah. Like,
no kidding. I have a 19-year-old. She asks for money, I give her money. She asks for a new trip, I give her the trip. She asks for new clothes, I give her new clothes. Now she asks for one little thing, like I wanna go and color my hair, and I say no, you can't do that. And it's like the only thing she will remember for the next 3 months. Every time she says something, because you don't let me. It was like I tell you yes to everything. This is the one thing I say no. So yeah, as a mother, I can relate to that, Beverly. Thank you.
This is also good, Adriana, because when we're preparing our, like, what's in it for me as change managers, we want to think about what was that last experience our stakeholders had, and what can we address. I mean, sometimes we just have to hit things dead on and say, we had some challenges with the last release, or we had some challenges with the last transformation. Here's what we're putting in place to move forward. And we have to remember, we're not going to capture everyone with, pom-poms, but at least we are saying, the buck stops here, or yes, we know what happened in the past, and here's how we want to change or make it better. So even though we do have negative biases, and even our own come in if we had a bad experience, or like working with a group or working with a sponsor, and it's something for us to overcome. So I like how you've identified some of the negative biases that we have. This is a really good slide.
Thank you, Angela. Yes, we totally do that. We do that ourselves, and we deal with that in our change management programs as well. I recently was talking to someone that had gone through one bad experience at work in 15 years, but it had gone through several, good experiences in doing software implementation. And this person could talk to me for about 45 minutes about the one bad experience, in 15 minutes about the 15 good ones that he had, right? And that's how it shows up. This is how things showed up for us if we're putting attention to it. Okay. Next, the next thing that I mentioned that I was going to talk a little bit, moods. Moods are something that surround us all the time, but we're not very aware of them. You know, it's this emotional predisposition that we have toward the future. What does that mean? When we are in a bad mood at all, you know, typically we don't talk, you know, in terms of bad moods or good moods. We talk about, you know, moods that are conducive to good things and moods that are not conducive to great things. But I'm going to just say, you know, bad or good right now for the benefit of the conversation. You know, when we are in a bad mood, we are not in a bad mood because something happened in the past. We're typically in a bad mood because there's something that we want to happen in the future that we don't see happening. It's like we are missing a possibility there for us, right? Like, I want to go see a concert, and you know, I can't afford the ticket, so I'm in a bad mood because there's a possibility there, me going to that concert that I don't see, which puts me in a bad mood. Moods are related to how do we see possibilities for us in the future. If not, think about any time in your life where you were in a bad mood, and think about what is the possibility that was missing for you, right? So when that happens, you know, we tend to color all the interpretations that we make, right? Anything, we're in a bad mood, anything that happens, we tend to see it as something negative. We don't see the positive things. That's what happens when we are in those unproductive moods. And the funny thing is they're completely invisible to us. We don't realize that, just the people from the outside. If not, think about how, you know, sometimes in the office, you know that this is the one person that is in a bad mood and you can identify. But if you go ask that person, how that will do that, this person will not say that he or she is in a bad mood. Probably won't even realize that he's in a bad mood, right? So it's funny how the mood is invisible to ourselves, but very visible to the people that's looking to us. And those mood influence everything that we do. So we don't realize how when we don't see possibilities, we you know, tend to see everything in a negative way, tend to not see what we can do, and we reduce in the way that we can act. So I'm going to give you a very quick, simple example. Imagine that you are having to do a presentation at work at 7 a.m. So you're on your way in the car, and you're all happy-go-lucky because you're prepared, the presentation's done, and you're prepared to give it, and there's going to be a group of clients, and your boss is going to be there, and everything's planned. And there's an accident on the freeway, and you can't get past. So now you're going to be late. Your boss is going to be upset with you, and the clients are not going to be able to see what you prepare, so probably they're not going to buy, so you're going to lose your commission. And so there's all these things that when you found that problem and you know that you're not going to get on time, shows up. But that's why, because you all of a sudden found out that you couldn't get to the office and you got into a bad mood. So all the possibilities that you saw for you in the future were negative. Now think about, I find myself in that situation and I think, oh, okay, well, maybe I can email the presentation from my phone to someone and someone can present and I can do the call from the car. Or maybe I can ask my boss to move the call half an hour ahead because it's how long it's going to take me. Or maybe we can reschedule because it's not a problem because everybody's local and we'll do this tomorrow. And so now I start seeing a different set of possibilities for myself. And that's what mood does. You're in a restrictive mood, everything is going to be bad. You are in a productive mood, everything's going to be good. So that's what we talk about moods. Now that was just an introduction to talk about the mood of overwhelm. So the mood of overwhelm is a restrictive mood, and it's a mood that shows up when we're stressed. And it's a, you know, like I said, it's a restrictive mood, it's an unproductive mood. And so it makes us all that narrative or that internal dialogue that we have, be negative. So we are swarmed, we are burdened, we're unable to cope with the demand. So everything that shows up as negative. So we have feelings or thoughts like, I have too much to do. I cannot handle all of this. Or we feel out of control. You know, we think I can't keep up with everything. Or things are just spiraling out of control. Or we have difficulty prioritizing. So we don't know where to start. Or we don't know, you know, what's more important than what else. So everything seems equally important. And urgent, of course. Well, we're exhausted. Stress makes us tired and exhausted. So we don't want to deal with it because we have that feeling of overwhelm that does not let us see, you know, possibilities for us. So we just don't want to deal with it. Or we have, you know, we start having self-doubt or negative thoughts. We think about, oh, I should be able to handle this, or what can I keep up with others, you know, that seem to, or my boss is going to fire me because I can't deliver on this, or I'm not going to be able to perform in this team because, you know, I have so much to do. So we get all this negative talk to ourselves. We start having anxiety. You know, we know that there can be consequences because we're not getting our things done. So we start thinking, I'm going to let people down. I'm going to fail. You know, again, related to this self-doubt and those negative talks that we start thinking about. They're going to let me go. They're going to fire me. Or we develop this desire for escape. So, you know, we start thinking about, oh, I just want to go on vacation. I just want to run away. I want to hide from all of this. I want this day to be over because we don't want to confront the day, right? So all of these happen when we are in a mood of overwhelm, which is this mood that does not let us see possibilities in the future for ourselves. How does that make you feel? How does that resonate with you?
I thought it was really interesting because especially this time of year, right? You're trying to plan for people coming into town, as well as wrap things up for the end of the year. It can be a lot going on. You have your own to-do list. I have to put the lights up for my house, and I'm thinking, you know, when am I going to have time to do that? So that does seep its way into other things you have going on. And as far as mood, I had gotten to the place in one with one particular employer that I said to my coworkers, when we go to lunch, we're not talking about work. We will just talk about, you know, how's it going, talk about the weather, but we're not going to talk about work during lunch. And that was kind of my way of taking back control of my day. You know, it was people's moods can actually sway somebody coming in the morning in a really good mood. By the end of the day, you're depleted trying to keep up your own energy and your own mood.
Yeah, what you say, Angela, is very interesting. We call that navigating moods, right? So you identify that you are not in a productive mood, that you navigate away from it by doing something different, by going to lunch with coworkers. I'm not talking about work, by listening to some music, by reading some poetry, by doing something that will help you navigate away from that mood. Now, we don't talk about managing mood, because managing means we control it. In moods, we can't control, but we can influence them by doing things that will help us change it into something else. So it's great what you say. It's exactly what you should do in order to navigate away from a mood that is not helping you and try to get into one that it is. In this case, a mood of resolution. I'm gonna, make a resolution to get things done, or a mood of curiosity. I'm going to, see what other ways to get things done there is there. I'm going to ask for help. So you can always navigate away from a mood of overwhelm into positive moods, or moods that help you see possibilities by doing something that breaks you out of that. So that was a very, very good contribution. Thank you, Angela. Anybody else can see yourself in one of these situations and in the past?
Yes. So I just came on, I'm still working through my work for Schwab, and we've been integrating TD Ameritrade for the last 4 years. And it's been a very high profile, can't fail program that's required a ton of effort across a large number of people for many, many months. And that overwhelm can really get you. So, you have to really constantly be taking some self-care and be purposeful about it. But yeah, this definitely hit home for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Beverly, for sharing. All right. So, stress reduction. So what do we do? What do we do when we are stressed, when we're overwhelmed, and we don't know what to do? Here are something that we call situational approach to reduce your stress. Ask for help. We tend to think as human beings that we have to do everything by ourselves. At work, we have to do it ourselves. At home, we have to do it all ourselves. And we don't have the habit of asking for help. So ask for help. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, go to your coworkers, go to your boss, renegotiate your commitment. I can't do this for today. Can I do it for tomorrow? I can't do it by myself. Can someone help me? So get into the habit of thinking that you do not have to do it all by yourself. Block your time. I don't know if you do this or not, but if you don't block your time to do things, the day goes by sometimes and you don't get everything that you need to get done, because it's easier to procrastinate a little bit here or there, get distracted with emails or social media. Whether if you have all your time blocked, you go from what you have to do here, to what you have to do here, to what you have to do here. And at the end of the day, you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish. Say no. Human beings tend to have an easy yes, like I say, and especially women, men are better about saying no. But women, we tend to say yes to everything. Can you go to the store for me? Yes. Can you help me with this report? Yes. We sometimes don't even think about it. We don't take a second to think what that means for us. What does that mean for me saying yes this? What else I'm going to have to stop doing in order to deliver on what I'm committing to do here, right? We don't think through that. So think about the possibility of declining or saying no. It's not declining, it's not declining to the person, it's not rejecting the person, it's declining, a request. Can you do that? No, I cannot do this. It doesn't mean that I'm rejecting the person. It means that I'm declining to do certain tasks that I don't have the time to do. Because there's this confusion between declining and rejecting, and that sometimes makes us not, readily be able to say no. Okay. Limiting social media. I'm not even going to talk about that. Adults know how to handle, TikTok and Facebook and so spending time with others. We sometimes being overwhelmed or being stressed makes us isolate ourselves, and the opposite can help. So if you feel overwhelmed or if you feel stressed, find people to spend time with, people that you enjoy spending time with. Engage in social activities, invite a friend for coffee, or join a group, or make a phone call to a family member that you enjoy talking to. So spending time with others, enjoying the conversation with someone, help us manage our stress a little bit better. So let's do a quick exercise. This is what I say. Make sure you have paper and pen, but if you have notepad on your computer or the notes on your phone, that's fine too. So and if you don't have pen and paper, you don't have to draw the grid, but just make sure that you have these 4 squares and list in them 5 or 6 work tasks that you have to do this week, and place each one in a box based on their importance and urgency. So on one axis we have importance, low and high, and the other one we have urgency. And so place those tasks based on the importance. It will help you achieve your long term or not. and your long-term goal or not, and urgency. It has to be done right now, or it can be done later. And think about this like this. You have a do square, a schedule square, a delegate square, and a delete square. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to do this. And then we'll share a little bit. Anybody finish yet? Okay, 3 minutes are up. We'd love to know if someone something came up to you as you were doing this. Did you learn anything?
I hate to keep speaking, but if no one else is going to say, um, for me, I'm terrible at delegating. I readily admit it. I don't have any direct reports, so I'm always asking people to do things as a matter of influence or request. So I think for me, it was really a stress to say, what could I really delegate, not do myself? That was the hardest. And also deleting. I tend not to delete things out of my, like everything seems like I have to do it. I'm really good at scheduling. I'm really good at doing. I'm not so good at deleting and delegating.
Can I ask you something, Beverly? Because I hear that a lot. People struggle with delegating. What do you think it is that you struggle with about delegating?
I think part of it is just by the time I figure out what I need to get them to do, like, it's like, I might as well just do it myself. Like, that's part of it.
Wow.
But also it's because they are a peer to me. They don't report to me. I'm not delegating down. I'm delegating across or sometimes up. And I know they already have a full plate. So I'm like, I don't know. It just doesn't come naturally to me.
Okay.
I only do it when I really can't get it all done. Then I'll delegate. But generally, I'll just I tell my boss is pretty bad about it too, I'll say. And I tell her both, we expand to fill the space. So in other words, we just keep doing the work until there's no more time available. Like, I mean, in the day.
Beverly, may I share something that I see in what you say?
Sure.
You say, yeah, I have a hard time delegating because they're busy like me, or I don't have, I don't have, people that reports to me, and so I have to delegate to my coworkers, or to, have to delegate. Those are narratives that you create for yourself.
Yeah.
You create a story. You tell yourself a story. Okay,
Agreed.
you can change a story. You can, one way I choose to think is, I am going to ask. They are adults and they can say no if they're busy. So, can you help me with this? No, I'm too busy. Okay, thank you. That's it. But you create a story. Oh no, I'm not going to ask because they're also busy. Oh no, I'm going to ask because they're a coworker, not someone that reports me. So that story, that narrative that you create, makes it even more difficult to delegate.
Yeah, no, I recognize it as a weakness in myself that I need to work on it. I get it. I do get it. And I do think a lot of it also is, by the time I prepare what I need for them to do, enough for them to do it, a lot of times I could have knocked it out myself. But it is something I have to get better about. Absolutely.
I think that even though not a lot of people are speaking up, a lot of people may actually sympathize with that feeling, because I think delegating is one of those things that if you're not used to do it, it's hard to do. I'm not saying that it's easy for me either. So, all right. If any,
Great exercise. It was good.
Thank you, Angela. So, if anybody else got any learning from this exercise, please just share in the chat. Okay, interpretative approach. Like I mentioned, one of the way to the stress is by reinterpreting how things are happening to us. And so cultivating certain moods, it's another way, cultivating a mood of humor, finding ways to laugh, finding ways to, elevate our endorphins. It provides a way to also manage our stress. So there are different ways that we can do these, appropriate ways, of course, because humor can be tricky at work, right? So there are different ways that we can find humor. You can find, little comedy clips that are work appropriate. We can have funny stories that we read in books, or, appropriate jokes that we can make with a colleague. We can also cultivate gratitude. And I said earlier that there are probably things that you have heard before, and I'm sure that you guys all have heard that cultivating gratitude is great for us. It's also a great way to relieve stress. Thinking about when we start thinking, and realizing that we are stressed or overwhelmed, starting focusing on the positive aspects of what's going good in our life can shift our attention and focus it on something that will promote our well-being. So, any way that you can cultivate gratitude works. If you want to keep a journal, or simply think about it, or, simply share with someone else, it's a great way to be able to change our moods into, a different, have a different outlook of what's happening. And then mood of acceptance. Mood of acceptance is good because it doesn't mean that we're okay with, bad things happening. It means that we are okay with life happening. It may have, there may be things that are good, and there may be things that are bad. And mood of acceptance says, I'm okay with that because I can't change it. And so, when we resist that, when we, and this we can all identify with, people resisting change, right? When we resist that, then we create all this stress for us. But when we are faced with a situation that we cannot change, if we accept it, it helps us manage our stress levels. So, thank you, Pamela. Pamela said this is great information. So another quick exercise. Just share in the chat, everyone, please, if you are there. One thing that you are grateful for today. You don't have to write anything if you don't want to. I just want us to think about one thing that you're grateful for today. Thank you, Beverly. Beverly, say this presentation.
That's great, Mary Beth. Oh man, I remember those college days. Oof.
Yeah. Let's see, Monica says, Angela's email with the link to these. Thanks for joining us, Monica.
Oh, hello, Monica. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I'm alive. Yeah, waking up.
Starbucks. My God, I'm grateful for coffee.
Oh,
Grateful
Beverly, great
workers.
coworkers. Yeah.
Health, waking up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Hopefully we all feel a little better today.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So daily gratitude practice. Like I say, you don't have to write it down. Just take a moment every day and think, what am I grateful for today? It's a great practice. And finally, and this is, I left it for the end because it's probably the one that you are going to be more familiar with, the physical approach to relieve stress via exercise or having a good diet and eating healthy, sleeping a reasonable amount of hours, meditating if you're the kind of person that can meditate, deep breathing, which is different than meditating. I don't know if you guys are familiar with, but the practice of stopping at a certain point during the day and taking deep breaths is very beneficial. Or listening to music that makes us feel better, right? There's music that may bring bad memories or that may not promote, good moods, but music that we found that has a benefit or a positive effect in our emotions is great. So last quick exercise. Share in the chat which one of these do you practice the most. I know that you probably practice more than one, but which one is the one that you practice the most? Do you exercise? Do you keep a good diet? You sleep well? You meditate? You do deep breathing, or you listen to calming music? And I'll read you. Pamela exercises. Beverly and Angela listen to music. Naomi, deep breathing. Good. Rudy, good diet. Monica, good diet. Marilyn, listen to music, not necessarily calming. Okay, Marilyn. Hopefully, though, it's distressing for you.
Yeah.
And Claudine says music. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. So this is it. This is the end of our presentation. I would love to know if anyone wants to comment in the next few minutes. Either you have a question that we can answer, or if you're taking something away that you think you can apply from now on in your life.
I want to reinforce this idea of gratitude because you mentioned it's good to just think of something that you're grateful for, and that is so true. I started keeping daily gratitude. Just at the end of the day, I would put something that I'm grateful for regarding work. And the power of going back and looking at it when somebody is annoying me, and then looking back that they actually did something great for me just 2 weeks before, it calms me, like, okay, I can be more patient with them. So it's a multiple levels that benefit having in writing. So I do encourage everybody to, if you don't keep a journal, that you leverage the idea that Adriana is sharing to keep that gratitude at the forefront, and maybe even write it.
Great. Thank you, Monica.
This is Pam. I just wanted to share one of the things that I do, excuse me, when I teach a change practitioner class, at the end of the class, I give them a 30-day gratitude challenge. I found this somewhere online. And so for each of the next 30 days, it has simple things like, write down something you're grateful for, or smile at someone, or genuinely tell someone thank you, or, do something for a homeless person, whatever it is. But it's a 30-day gratitude challenge. And I challenge all of the participants to take that 30 days because, what do they say? It takes 30 days to make a habit. And then hopefully, they will get something out of it that they can carry over. But yeah, I like to do the 30-day gratitude challenge.
Awesome. Great tip. Thanks you, Pamela. Anybody else?
So one thing I do is I have a reminder that wakes me up and every morning at 6 a.m. it comes on my phone that says, rise and shine. It's another day to live your dream. And it's just a reminder to get myself in the right frame set for the day, see it as an opportunity.
I love that. Anybody else wants to share?
Yeah, something that I have found is that the stress of this week, the seed of the stress of this week was actually manufactured maybe 3 weeks ago when I committed or perhaps overcommitted, or I didn't manage my time appropriately. So that's something I have to be very mindful, and I'm trying to force myself to anticipate. Okay, if I say yes to this, how much stress I'm gonna be fabricating for myself 3 weeks down the road. So that I just wanted to share that thought.
Thank you, Matthias.
I like that, Matthias, because what the way I try to keep some control in my house is one thing comes in, two things have to go out. And I think I'm going to apply to what you said. When I commit to something, what are one or two things I'm going to take off my list to keep that balance? So you got me thinking.
All right. I think we're the closing, Angela. So I don't know if I thought I'll give you a few minutes back in case you have any closing to do as well with the group.
No, absolutely. Again, thank you all for attending today, and just really appreciate your involvement and contribution. And again, thank you for the feedback. I look at programming and speakers and subjects, and I go, I think this would be good for our chapter. So if you want to email me, more comments or anything else you want to share, you're more than welcome to do so. Again, we're going to, I'm going to send out a survey. I'm trying to get it finalized here this week. Again, just to get some more information, the plan for 2024, we're going to have more in-person events as well as our virtual selection. Want to thank Adriana again. Thank you so much for your presentation tonight and for taking the time with us. If there's anything else, Jared is president of our chapter. Jared, did you want to come on and make a comment or let us know anything else that's going on? You may have stepped away. Okay. All right. So again, the link to the presentation, to this recording, and also to the ProSci classes, that'll be included in an email. So look out for that. And again, go to ACMP Global for further December events, and then come back to our website for our 2024 offerings. So again, thank you everyone, and have a great
Angela.
evening. Yeah.
Before we go, let me share my screen really quickly. I just want to show you guys the 30-day challenge that I was mentioning.
Okay.
Hold on, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hold on. I want to move this so that I can make it bigger so you can see it.
Yep, there we go.
So this is,
Pamela, do you follow up? Pamela, do you follow up with those in the meeting to whom you give the 30-day gratitude challenge to see how they're following it and what effect they're getting from that, etc.?
actually, what I do is I have a scheduled meeting where I follow up with them 30 days post training session, because I want to see how they're doing as, you know, the practitioner, because they're learning how to execute change management. And we do sometimes talk about the 30-day gratitude challenge, but you know, a lot of them have told me that they follow this challenge. And the other thing too is I tell them, you don't have to follow what's on this, you know, piece of paper here. You can change it to whatever you want it to be, but just make sure that it is something that you're following. So this is what I typically use when I end the class for my 30-day challenge. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
No, absolutely, Pamela, if you want to send that to me, I'll include that in the email if you feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Okay, that'd be great.
I'll put it in a different slide.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the recording. And again, thank